Kia ora. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Global Azure event. Uh, we're doing like our part here in Auckland, New Zealand. And yesterday we had like really good, great session at Microsoft building. And today, which is a Saturday, we're having like more sessions. And other sessions are happening as well around the world. And today, I would like to bring one particular topic that I find really interesting, and I'm always exploring better ways of making reusable components. And I'm gonna bring like this topic today around the reusable infra codes with Azure Template Specs. Um, this session here is just like to bring you awareness of how you can do things and work like if in different teams in where you can collaborate and produce specs, right? ARM templates, Bicep templates, where you can reuse and automate the release of your different resources on Azure. Um, this session is going to be recorded, and I think it's going to be a good reference for anyone coming and trying to learn a little bit more about reusable components, right? In Azure reusable resources. Let me just go to some introductions. So for those that don't know me, my name is Marcel Medina. I'm a software developer. Um, I was recently awarded as Microsoft MVP here in New Zealand. I'm currently working as a practice lead at Datacom, and for regarding my technical blog, that's the one called like tech.playgokids.com. That's where just my playground for technical content. And you have like my QR code in there. If you are keen to jump and have a look at these blog posts, you can just take a photo and go straight to the blog. Um, as part of the coding night, well, we're doing this on noon, right? So, but in general, we have like night sessions for with developers, and we talk about different programming languages and actually best practices in how like we do development, right? Like software development languages and technologies. In general, we tend to focus more like on Microsoft stack, but we are open to different technologies. And the intent of the user group is to enable developers with practical knowledge and to excel and launch their careers. So if you are a junior to a lead dev up to an architect, you're gonna make good use of our sessions. I also would like to say that we are part of Azure, a cloud native user group, where we talk about the latest and greatest on the cloud native space. And we're also sponsored by the .NET Foundation. That's an open source entity that looks after the different .NET's open source projects. All right, with no further ado, I'm just going to dive onto the session. And I'm not gonna be exploring a lot of content, but I'm gonna bring some sort of slides where it's going to be useful to bring some context. And on this agenda, I'm gonna bring like some overviews of the ways of how we can deal with Azure Template Specs. And we're gonna have demos, right? Different demos, like from how you can get started from the portal and with scripting. That's like the interesting part. And with different approaches as well, with ARM template, Bicep templates, and yeah, I think that's going to be a really good one for whoever comes and tries to learn, or even for the more experienced engineers. I guess like there are some techniques in here that will be useful for whoever comes and tries to attempt those. All right, just like introduction on the Azure template specs. So what we have here is just reusable templates, right? That allow you to define infra codes, resources in Azure. So it is a resource in Azure where you can host an ARM template, right? Or a Bicep template. So behind the scenes, what happens is that you have entry point for provisioning resources on Azure that matches a particular standard uh, based on configuration settings that you define. Include like parameters and that you can customize, right? Of course, like on Azure, you can always provision the out of the box resource, right? But on this one, you're customizing, you're tailoring your resource to your specific needs, right? So in terms of like benefits, what do you have with that? You have consistency because you're defining a template, you're defining specific parameters, you're specifying configuration settings that are going to be consistent across all the environments that you use this resource for. It's going to be reusable, right? Because you're provisioning those resources to be consumed in different environments, like let's say development, test, UIT, production. So you're making reuse of the same template. You have the option to apply versioning, which is great because let's say you have like the latest and somehow you want to roll back to a previous version. So you have like full control on that. Collaboration, as I mentioned, different teams can work different parts in different templates and through our back, right, role-based access control, you can simply define like permissions on who can access, can have the access to those templates. And automation, right? So everything here gonna be exposing. I'm gonna be using like PowerShell scripts. You can use Azure CLI. You can hook this to Azure DevOps or GitHub. Uh, so you have flexibility to automate the deployment of those resources. I have some blog posts. This one references part 1 out of 4. I'm going to be sharing here. But for reference later on, if you want to explore more, that's the link. Let's go to the first demo. We're going to explore how you can do it from the Azure portal, right? Like just so you know what sort of resource is that. Let me share my screen here. I think what I can do is to bring that. Just a minute, bear with me. And I'm going to be sharing my Azure portal window. Let's see this one. All right. So that should be coming. That's it. So I have created, this is my, maybe, not sure if that's, I can zoom in a little bit more. I think that should be okay. And let me just like zoom in my whole entire screen so you can see, visualize only that. Okay, cool. So I have created like different resource groups for the demos that are coming. What I'm gonna do for the demo 1, I'm gonna jump to this resource group and we're gonna create a template spec, right? So on Azure, you can just come and type template spec. That's like the resource we are looking forward to use. So let's just take this one. And in here, we're gonna be creating a simple template from the UI, right? And nothing special about this, but you're gonna notice what's required from a UI standpoint to provision those resources. And it's going to be the same with like when we get to scripts in ARM templates or the Bicep. So let me pull in here like storage demo 1, okay? So I'm gonna be creating a template spec that's going to be provisioning a storage resource. I'm gonna put on Australia East, uh, description, just like uh, storage demo 1, right? And the version, uh, in general, you can specify, there are like some examples in here, up to you. I like using semantic version, right? Which means that you can have your main version, minor version, or patch version, so you can specify like that. I like using this approach not only on Azure, but like with the even on coding, like when we're implementing uh, any particular application. So I like that approach, semantic versioning. And then we have, okay, Azure provide comes with like this standard template definition, which is just empty, right? What I'm gonna do, I have like my cheat sheets in here. I have like an example. I'm just gonna copy that, right? And I'm gonna replace. But you can see that we have like some sort of properties, like where it defines the schema, content version, parameters, and resources down here. But you can see that we are provisioning a storage account. That's it, of the type V2, right? I can specify tags as well. So in here, I know that I'm using like for my environments, I always call like demo, right? But good practices, I think it's always important for you to define good tags so you can have like better views of like what of the meta tags, right? The metadata that you are using and where the resources are. It helps like with billing when you want to do some grouping and some queries. So always good practice to have that. I'm gonna create. That was very quick. So this one was provisioned, right? So the template spec is here, right? When you look like versions, I have like only version one, but depending on I'm provisioning, I can have like more, and I can roll back or can provision other resources from here, right? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create the a resource. This is just the template. From here, I can create the resource, right? So this is going to be a storage account. So I'm using like this default resource group, demo1, but you can see that the parameters, they came up from the templates that I had, right? And I think on this, let me just go in here. I have like my CLS. I don't think my screen is being shared in full screen. Let me just bring my commands in here just a minute. I'm going to stop sharing that. Let me share the whole screen, not only my browser. This one, share. All right. So it should be coming here, right? So I have my storage arm text, which is basically what I used. So if we're looking here at the definition, right? So we're gonna see that we have like parameters in here, and we have like storage account type, we had location, storage account name, right? And what in location, that's it. And what we can see here is that those are being specified because we have default values. Right? So I'm specifying, okay, this is the default value for the name of the account, the storage account, default value for the location. We have like default value for the storage account type, and that allows me to modify if I want to. I'm gonna go with the options that I have here available. So it brings you like to a review, so you can validate whether things are going to be provisioned as you expect. And for here, we can just create the resource. So this one, it should be quick, but you're gonna notice that we're gonna get um an Azure storage account. And from here, you can notice that, okay, so we have the template spec, and the template spec is going to be provision our resources on Azure. Let's just see like this one to be provisioned and should take like few seconds. Let's just go back. You always can see in here. So that was provisioned, right? There is like some sort of caching in here. Let me just refresh. I've seen this one before. The resource should be here. There. All right, so that was provisioned according to what I have specified, right? So the location with like the resource within the resource group and with the nomenclature that was dynamically created. So you can see here that's okay. We have defined templates, and from the templates we had the resources. I think like this one is the first demo, so you know what a template spec is and how you can make use of that. Let me just go back to the presentation. Just a minute. That should be the other screen. This one. All right, first demo done. And in here, right, so we can explore further and attempt to do like some scripting in here. Right, we I'm gonna be using Bicep. Right, so I think that's how like more modern provisioning on Azure is happening, and we can use like either PowerShell or Azure CLI. For this one, I'm gonna be using PowerShell. Just I have like a part two of like this implementation and with the code examples in there, so you can make use of it. Let's go to the demo with the Bicep and scripting. Let me come back to my screen and share that. It's going to be this one. All right, it's coming. Yes. Let me put full screen for this. And so we're gonna have in here, right? So let me go to, I have my other one, demo two. We're gonna see here, we have a storage bicep, right? So let's see what we have in there. All right, I think fit like within the screen, which is good. But that's the same definition I had on my ARM template, but converted to a bicep. With the parameters, like I have the allowed, what's allowed in different regions, or not, in the different types, actually, the account types. But I have like a standard, a default value for my location with a default value, storage account name with a default value in here as well. That follows random, unique uh, identifier, right? That concatenates store with this number. And the resource itself, I always found really good to have like outputs, so you can just take it if you are reusing biceps and like on different modules. I think it's always good to have that in place. Right, let's go to this demo here. So you can see that we're going to be working. Let me go back to the template, resource groups, and we're going to be working with the demo 2. It's empty, nothing here. Let me go to my copy of my example. What we're gonna do in here, right? I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna do in steps. And well, we have a bicep template, but we don't have a template spec. And I can use this bicep template to become my template spec. And how do I do it? So you can see here the different, well, this is the PowerShell commandlet, right? Where you're creating a new Azure Template Spec. I'm defining this name as storage. I'm defining a version, right? The semantic version. This is going to be 1.0.0. Resource name. Let's put this one on the template specs demo 2, right? So that's going to be for our demo. and the template file, which is on this folder. I have like the full path, but you can also have like the relative path, right? So you could just come in here, dot storage bicep, and that's it. So I need like first to create this template spec. So then we can provision the resource, right? Similar as we did with the UI. So the template spec was provisioned. And what I can do, I can retrieve this ID. Why do I need this ID? Right? So the resource group that we're going to be using is as a reference, right? So we're using this one as templates specs demo 2. So we're grabbing the template spec that was provisioned on the resource group template specs 2. Uh, well, that's the name and the version. We need this information to be able to provision a resource, right? So the resource is going to be provisioned based on the template spec ID. If you look at the ID in here, this one, right? So this is part of my subscription, resource group, and the template spec that was provisioned. If you're looking here, that's in there, right? So the template spec was provisioned. So now we need to create a resource from it, but we need to reference the ID. This is the command that we can use to provision that. Here, I'm gonna put it. So we have like here, like the new AZ resource group deployment, where we can specify template ID, template spec ID with the resource group name. Which one? Well, this is our demo 2. So this is where the resource, this is template spec ID under my subscription. This is the resource group where the resource is going to be provisioned. We have like some parameters in here, like just the storage account type that we are, well, providing. And with that, we should have the resource to be created. It's interesting because right now, well, we know that something's happening, but we don't know what's happening. In general, for deployments that happen on Azure, you can see those deployments in here, right? So, well, you can see that you have that available. Something is happening. At some stage when this is deployed, then we're going to see whether it has succeeded or it has failed, right? So let's see. Sometimes it takes like some seconds. Sometimes it just takes like quite a while. I've seen different uh, times, but it depends on how the complexity, right, and behind the scenes, how Azure is dealing with the provisioning. But we have it here. So the resource was provisioned under this resource group name with those parameters in here, and it created with a random name, but following what I have specified uh, as a concatenated information, right, with the star. And when I look in here now on Azure, I should have my storage provision, right? So it is in there. So my templates, my resource, and we did that with PowerShell. So I used a Bicep template. So it's interesting because if Azure can leverage ARM templates, you can leverage Bicep. And Bicep is basically a compiled version of the ARM templates, right? So with that, let's come back to the presentation. I'm gonna share my other screen. Let me share that. And we're gonna continue. We're gonna go further into that. That's my, all right. So we did that. We're gonna explore now template links. I think here that's where we are making modular or working with reusable components. If you look in the past, right, when we're just dealing with ARM templates, uh, if you use like blueprints, that's how we would link a resource. And so basically what we have is that we have a master, and which is our main definition for the as a rep. Right? Let's say we have our rep, and we have our instance of the resource. Right? So this rep is going to contain definitions of those resources, which ones we're going to be uh, provisioning. Maybe here in my rep, I have an app service, I have a storage, I have application sites, I have a SQL. So I have like a group of different uh, resources to be provisioned. But those resources are not directly implemented in here, right? This would increase like the number of lines, just like to become like really complex. But what you would do is just reference, right? You use links to templates. So we're going to have templates for what? For app service, for application sites, for storage. We're going to have another one for SQL. So when it happens is that in here we just have the rep, and we can just reference those templates from through template links. So that's what we have. We have a rep, a big arm that only contains references. It basically receives the parameters, but and we have like on the other side, we have the template spec, but we have template links. So our rep that it's based on these ARM templates is going to reference those details, the implementation that's available in our template spec. This is also like a current how things work. So you can use ARM templates. You can use, if you're using blueprints, that's still the same approach, but it minimizes the number of lines, right? That you would use to wrap everything together. That's how like you're starting reusing components, right? Those resources as template specs. Because what happens, like maybe there's another team that they work with on their templates. They want to define something that's customized to their business unit, and they're going to be working on those template specs, right? So then you as a developer coming and you need to consume those templates. You're going to use template links for that. So that's where we start reusing resources. I have like another link about this one, part 3 of the blog post. And let's go to another demo for with template links. Let me come and share my screen again. This is going to be this one. All right, should be coming here. Nice. Demo 3, I have another resource group in here that we're going to be using. And in here, we're going to make use of template links. Let me jump to this one, demo 3. All right, we have deployment JSON, right? What does it have? So let's see. Uh, let's go like from top, right? So if you worked in the past with blueprints, and that's basically what you have. And this is just a vanilla deployment JSON file that contains the ARM templates. And you can see here we have those. Well, that's the deployment templates schema. We have the version, the parameters that we're using. Location. Interesting here that we're gonna see that, wow, I want to reference a template spec. I need the template spec resource group. I need the name. I need the version, right? I have some default values in here, but I don't have for the name. I don't have for the resource group. So those I will need to provide, but I can also provide like the version I want if that's different from this. With the storage account type, right? So we're only working with storage accounts in here. But here's the deal, right? We have a deployment that's taken like the incremental. So what happens with incremental is that you're not modifying all the parts of the resource. If you're doing for the first time, you're going to be provision everything. But if you're redeploying things, only the difference, only the delta, only the changes are going to be applied. So that's why it's incremental. But this is the definition here, right? Template link ID. So in here, I'm taking, okay, from my template spec resource group, that's what I need from my resource ID. Uh, this is going to be part of like the path, right? Where from the resource ID, we're going to go to the template specs version that takes the template spec name and the version, right? So this is how I combine. Uh, as I mentioned, so this is making use of template links. Could I have the whole full-blown storage accounts here? I could. That would be, well, would turn the deployment JSON much to become much bigger, right? And not intelligible because that would be just messy. So that's how we do with template links. And here, like we have also like outputs in there. So what we're gonna do is that we have this one available on this folder. I'm going to take my PowerShell script in here, right? I have that defined. Let me copy this. And let's check like what's on the parameters that we have available. Maybe I'm gonna zoom in. Not sure if I'm gonna have everything on the screen, but should help. So we have these commands, new, AZ, resource group deployment. We're gonna take like the resource group name, where the template specs are, right? Where the um, actually like where we're going to be deploying. So this is where we're deploying. This is the file. We're gonna have in here TS the template spec, where it is, what resource group, what's the name, and what's the version, right? For this demo, we're using the demo 3. So let's do that. I'm gonna put like this for demo 3. So that's going to be deploying there. I have the full path. As I said, we can use relative as well. So we can put like just like that. And I have like this another resource group of the template specs. I'm going to be using that in provisioning, right? So in here, like, so it's referencing these template specs available in here. I have like other template specs I use like in other demos, but for this provisioning, I'm taking this one. There's nothing special about that. It's just like same as the other ones. And but I just want like to show that what could happen is that you could have like your template specs in a different resource group, right? And that's what's going to happen because you're going to be isolating or combining those template specs in one single logical grouping, right? On a resource group. But you can provision those onto different resource groups. This is going to take some time, but we can always see that if things are really happening, right? So we have a deploy thing here. So that's happening. Could take 30 seconds, could take a minute. It just depends how Azure is going to be dealing with that. right? So it just did, it provisioned the store, and those are the details. Like we get like this uh, details from the command line. And by looking here, you can see it succeeded, was incremental. We had like the following parameters under this subscription. With those are the outputs, right? It took the template spec from the template specs resource group under this version, which is very nice. So that's a way for us to work with ARM templates and template specs. There is another way as well that we can make use of that. Let me come back to my presentation and we can follow up on it. Just a minute. Let me present on another screen. Let's go back. Here we go. This one. All right. Well, we use an ARM templates with a module, right? That was created. The module, well, the Bicep templates was used as a template spec. ARM template spec. In here, we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to use a Bicep modules, right? Not sure if you worked with Bicep modules before, but this is a way of how we can wrap resources, right? Files, and we can have like things isolated, similar as template specs, right? So you could have, in general, like with Bicep, you can just create different files, and you can have modules to represent uh, different resources. Same as I mentioned before, like could be an app service, application sites, could be a SQL, it could be a storage, but you tend to create modules for those and split them in different files. It makes sense for that approach if you are hosting them on the same repository, right? But that's perfectly fine. But what I see from different teams is that we have different repositories. And then if you are going to adopt that same approach with modules, how are you going to do it? Like they're going to be in different places. So you have a way of doing that with template specs. Well, let's assume we have like this Bicep module. So let's say this is hanging on the repository, and but you don't have the implementation of this module on the same repository. Like you have a reference to a template spec. How you can do it? You can do it with module alias. Maybe this is something new to you, but it's interesting because what happens is that you are using a Bicep module that references a template spec, right? How does it work? Well, that's the link, the reference I have for part 4 of those posts. And what happens is that you need to deal with this Bicep config JSON, right? This, well, by default, if you are creating Bicep templates, you don't need to deal with that. When you need to override any sort of configuration, then that's when you need to make use or change the implementation through this Bicep config JSON. In here, I'm showing that we have this module alias, and for that we have this TS, which is just an acronym for template spec, and the template spec itself. And that's under a subscription and the resource group. So you specify that, and that needs to be on the same file, on the same folder where your template definition is, right? That's part of this post, this blog post. And how you reference that is that we're going to have a module, but this module is not implemented there, right? So that's going to be reference the template spec. And for the template spec, um, we're going to have like a module as well, like it's a rep. And the rep references the template spec. That's ts slash template spec, comma, column, storage column, in the version. You can see here, like I can pass parameters in there. And that's it. So that's my rep. Right? So I don't have the implementation on my current repository, let's say like that. That references what's available on Azure. That's part of this blog post. Let's go to the demo. Right? Let me stop sharing this and let's come to this other screen. Okay, you're gonna go to this. All right, should be coming. That's it. Let me make full screen. Nice. So we were like on demo 3. Let me go on demo 4. Okay. As you can see, right, I have, this would be something, if you had everything in one single repository, you would have this and this, right? So that's how you would just be coordinating the references, right? But I don't have uh, the implementation of my storage. That's a template spec. But still, I have the modules in here, right? Well, the main thing is for you to override the bicep config. So you need to create this file, right? So if I look, type main, well, what do I have in here? So this is my main file, main bicep. You can see that I have a target scope that needs to be like under the subscription because I'm specifying where to provision this to, where I'm provision this to. I provision this to a resource, right? So a resource group, I mean, here, resource group. And I can only do that if I specify that my target scope is at the subscription level. I'm making use of this resource group as part of my scope in here. So with this scope, I know I'm just saying, okay, a module, look, uh, well, main bicep, look, I want to provision this module under this scope, which is within this resource group. And that's how I do it. Well, from here, if you are working on other modules, there's nothing special because you're just referencing a different file. But you can see here, modules, storage module.bicep, okay? Passing like parameters, just location. I showed like on the slides the bicep config already, so nothing changed in here. I'm just going to go to modules, and let's see, we have this one. And what we have, storage module bicep. Right, let's zoom in here. Well, we're receiving these parameters, location, that's what's coming down from the main bicep, but this is it, right? Same as was specified as I showed like on the slides. This is where things get hooked up with the bicep config. And in here, I'm specifying like, well, I'm just, let's say, bubbling down the location and specify the another parameter in here, right? So I have that. And this is it, right? So you can make use of modern bicep modules implementation by using this approach. Let me grab my last command because we need to provision that. And how do we do it? Well, I'm gonna bring in here. Let me zoom in. Hopefully we can see everything. But we have like this new dash AZ subscription deployment. Subscription deployment, right? Because I'm dealing with the subscription. Well, making use of location, the template file. Interesting is that it's just how things, well, I cannot see. Let me zoom in here. They decide. Location from templates. Somehow, well, my templates only expects the parameter, which is the parameter just called location. But this commandlet expects, okay, so you're passing this like from the templates, from, well, this is going to be bubbling down to the template itself. So that's how it is specified. For this one, uh, I'm going to be using the, let's see, location main. Yeah, that's going to be under my template spec. Let me see here. I'm just gonna see where this is going to be provisioned. So, oops, one up, ls. All right, this is going to be provisioned under like my template specs in here. So let me copy this one again because it goes where I define, right, on the template spec. So let's do it. So for this one, that's going to be provisions in here, right? I could specify a different path. And I think like as soon this one should take like say similar time. Let's come in here. Should be coming when it launches. Yeah, in general, as I said, could take like few seconds. I've seen already things take like up to a minute. Let's see. This should be displayed. Well, no error is there, right? So this is happening. It just takes some time. I think it's because of the scope. As soon as you target something on a different level, it may take like another way of how things are triggered on Azure. So let's see, this should be provisions. Okay. Oh, it did. There was provisions. So subscriptions, okay, location. So there was provisions. So it should be here. Go back. Uh, Well, well, that's our template spec. Should come in there. So I've seen like some caching here. Sometimes just annoying. Come on. Well, this one was, well, it's not coming. Interesting. Come on. Yeah, it just feels that, okay, I'm provisioning that in there from this under like my main Bicep, and I'm not seeing this one on Azure. So something happened here. Or maybe it's just not there. Yeah, this one would take like a little bit of troubleshooting. Perhaps at some stage this should be just coming. Just take some time. It's just weird. Should be there. Let's see. Let's further explore that. Okay. So I had this one, real troubleshooting. Let's see. Template specs demo. That's the place actually. So I was just thinking that if I go in here, that's the one that was provisioned, right? Because if I look in here, deployment just happened 12:48 in here, and that's my time on my uh, machine, right? So it just happened. And one of the things I didn't notice is that because this is hard coded. So this is hard coded. Well, if you want to avoid like headaches, don't hard codes, but I did this for the demo sake. That's in there, right? So you can see that if you pass parameters all the way, you just fine, right? You just have like full control. But if you don't, you just need to do some troubleshooting, as I did. But we found it, right? Which is good, and that's what we have like our demo. Uh, with that, I don't think like I have anything else in here. And just go back to the screen, and then all right, that's like an approach um, on how you can make like use of reusable infra code on your environments, making use of template specs. Right, I think this is a good session as a reference, and have a look at those blog posts. I think like there's like bits of information in different parts on Microsoft Docs. I try combining them together, so you can just have like a different perspective of how you can do things, right? And how you can work like in teams by splitting different responsibilities, right? On is going to be working with the template specs, provisioning or creating those resources for the different resources on Azure, and who is going to be working maybe on a functional aspect that, okay, for a particular implementation of a site, for example, you're going to make use of what? App service, app insights, storage account, SQL, whatever. You're going to have like a wrap of that. They're going to be making reference of like those template specs. Uh, this I would like to say thank you. This is a session going to be recorded. I'd like to say that also going to have like other sessions on the Global Azure event. Just keep in touch. Have a look at the user group. We should have more details in there, including the links to the other sessions coming up. Yeah, with that, I'd like to say thank you, and yeah, see you next time.